The government has wrapped up its investigation into a 2-year plane crash that injured 7 people. Our Al Peffley joins us at the Palm Beach County tonight with what experts say went wrong that day.
The details of the investigation are spelled out in this crash report from the National Transportation Safety Board. It says basically the plane crash was due to human error and there were no mechanical problems with the plane. It appeared to be a normal takeoff at the North County Airport near Jupiter, but what happened just moments later almost cost the 7 people on board their lives.
I guess, tragic part of all this is that it was so easily preventable.
We spoke to Robert Katz, a commercial pilot and flight instructor out of Dallas, by phone. We asked him about the 8-page NTSB report into the October 8, 2020 plane crash. The report says, quote, examination of the airplane and flight controls found no evidence of pre-impact mechanical malfunctions or failures. Video from the NTSB report shows the twin-engine Cessna with 7 people on board, 2 pilots and 5 passengers, a few minutes before takeoff. Surveillance video shows the plane moments later going down the runway, but it never left the ground. It never took off and ended up going off the runway, and you can see dirt flying up and the plane disappears from view. The Cessna ended up in rough, marshy terrain, and it came to rest partially submerged in water. The NTSB determined the probable cause of the accident to be, quote, the pilot's inadequate pre-flight inspection during which he failed to detect a flight control abnormality and his failure to expediently abort the takeoff. The NTSB report says the pilot and co-pilot may have failed to remove the control lock, which is a metal rod in the cockpit that has a large red flag attached to it, so it's very hard to overlook. The control lock must be removed before the plane takes off.
It's very easy for human beings to become complacent, and that's what typically leads to unintended consequences, just like in operating a motor vehicle.
Katz has 40 years flying experience. He says before taking off, the pilot and co-pilot are supposed to go through a safety checklist before the plane leaves the ground. The report says, quote, it is likely that the pilot failed to conduct a flight control check prior to takeoff.
It strikes me as next to impossible to overlook the fact that a control lock would be in place.
Katz says, in his opinion, the crash was easily preventable.
Given the narrative of the NTSB report, this seems to be a very simple and preventable issue that has happened many times before, typically with tragic results. It's fortunate that nobody was killed in this incident.
I called the pilot, who lives in Indiana, seeking comment about this NTSB crash report. His wife answered the phone and told me, quote, my husband has been flying for over 40 years and is retired from the U.S. Air Force. The NTSB assessment is inaccurate. She said she had no further comment about the incident.
Today, 13-year-old Stanley Davis Jr. died after he crashed his motorcycle trying to get away from a police officer. Well, tonight, friends and family holding a vigil to remember Davis Jr. and to keep his story in the headlines. Our Victoria DeCardenas joins us live from Boynton Beach, where that vigil is taking place right now.
Yeah, Jim, that vigil has officially started and people are trickling in despite the cold weather and the rain that we're seeing here in Boynton Beach. And I actually spoke with someone on behalf of the family who says that grief has been an ebb and flow. Mom and dad are doing okay, but it's still tough to know that they don't have their son on this first Christmas just a year ago when he died. Now, they've gone through a lot in this process. They are now suing the city and the officer involved in this accident. December 26, 2021 was the last time anyone saw Stanley Davis III alive. He was last seen on surveillance video putting gas into his dirt bike, which was his gift for Christmas. Moments later, you see Boynton Beach police officer Mark Sohn approach the 13-year-old. Davis illegally speeds off on the bike along North Federal Highway in Boynton Beach. Officer Sohn was chasing him for reckless driving. And according to an investigation from the Florida Highway Patrol, Davis was going 85 miles an hour when he lost control of his bike and died. In that report, it's noted Officer Sohn never made contact with Davis, so he was never charged. However, according to Boynton Beach PD, officers are not supposed to chase a suspect unless a serious crime such as murder or armed robbery was committed. And throughout our reporting, CBS 12 News has obtained files that revealed Sohn had a concerning record. In his time on the force, Sohn had been punished 3 times for violating his department's pursuit policy. with 2 chases turning fatal, including a 5-year-old. Since Davis's passing, the family has worked to hold the Boynton Beach Police Department and the city accountable, claiming in a lawsuit the city knew Sohn was a threat, specifically to the African American community.
We're talking about all of this time going by that nothing is being done about the death of Black people, and particularly young Black people.
Sohn was fired in August after 20 years on the force. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump filed a federal wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Boynton Beach and the former police officer. They claim the police department ignored his behavior for years. Davis's family is asking for a jury trial, compensation, and punitive damages. Now, those wanting to celebrate the life of Stanley Davis III are invited to come out to the 800 block of North Federal Highway here in Boynton Beach. Those people who are attending and who are already here have shown up with black and red balloons. We are told that those were his favorite colors.
Well, a wet and sloppy evening out there for drivers, and those bad conditions, poor visibility, they could be partly to blame for a hit-and-run accident that took place in front of dozens of eyewitnesses this evening. They were all part of a vigil on the anniversary of Stanley Davis Jr.'s death. But towards the end of that event, shock and disbelief when one of the organizers was crossing the road and was hit by a car. That event was being held just off of Federal Highway near 8th Avenue over in Boynton Beach area. Our cameras were there to cover the event when our photojournalist heard a loud bang followed by screaming and yelling. This is the video of the moments right after that accident. Eyewitnesses say they saw Bernard Wright. He's a local activist and one of the spokespersons for the Davis family. He was crossing the wet street tonight when witnesses saw a white car flying down the road, hit Wright, and then just kept on driving. He was lying in the road as people rushed to his aid. Eventually, he was taken to the hospital. Minutes earlier, take a look at this. Wright, Bishop, known better as Bishop Wright in our community, he was on Facebook Live. You can see him talking to members of the media and some of his supporters. They were huddled in the center median when they had just released some balloons for Davis Jr. All the while, cars can be seen in the background just whisking by, and this is a clip just moments before Wright was hit.
All right, now, y'all, we were about to get out of here.
Let's go, Bishop.
We're about out of here, so God bless y'all. Y'all share this video, and this is what it's all about.
Well, there you go. It's just seconds after this. Wright crossed over on the northbound side of Federal Highway, was hit by that car. We also spoke to a friend of Wright's tonight. He says Wright is in stable condition and will have to undergo surgeries. In the meantime, Boynton Beach police say they are searching now for the driver of that white car. It's believed to be a white Camaro. That car was last seen speeding away. We'll have much more on this on CBS 12 News this morning.